Hey boys and girls, welcome back to my itty bitty little automotive channel. I was gonna take the 308 to a Cars and Coffee, and when I got in and fired it up, I noticed it was blowing a lot of white smoke, but it was only coming out of one side, one set of tailpipes, and it was on the driver's side. So I figured I would pull the plugs, and we're gonna see what kind of story they tell. If you've ever tried to work on one of these, you'll understand my frustration with the plugs that are in the back, which would be up against the firewall. So let's see if I can sneak this back here. There is not a lot of room to get your hands and or a wrench in there. And just trying to get these plug wires off, you know, they go down in there about that much. So just trying to get those out, you're hitting the top of the back of the firewall over here. But the front ones are very accessible, thank goodness. All I had to do is take off my intake pipe, and then I could get to these two middle ones, and the two outer ones were pretty simple. So let's take a journey over to the workbench and take a look at these plugs. Pardon my extremely childish drawing, but here is what would be the, I don't know if this is the front bank or the rear. I'm gonna call it the rear because this is the rear of the car and this is the front of the car, so that's gonna be the front bank. This is as far as I've gotten so far with these. These two center ones are pretty tricky. You know, are they the worst ones I've ever seen? No, but they're pretty bad. I don't see any metal in them and stuff like that that would indicate anything is let loose or is gonna be damaging. You know, I don't really care for all the oil that's all over them. A little bit of oil on this one. What I think happened is, I think I've got a valve or two, or three or four, that are not happy. And that's why I'm seeing so much blow by and so much white smoke out of one side of the motor. I think it's the front, which would be the front bank closest to the firewall. But again, I'm not completely sure yet. I still have to get these other two plugs out to see what those look like. Either way, I mean, this motor's gonna get rebuilt this winter anyway. I was just hoping I could get a few more miles out of the car. I was gonna replace the plugs anyway. This car has 87,777 miles, I think, so almost 88,000 miles on it. And I have no record of this motor ever being rebuilt. So when it gets rebuilt, it will have records. That will come from moi. Finally got all the plugs out of the Ferrari. I'm not really seeing anything that's alarming other than the plugs are just junk. I mean, there's tons of carbon built up on them. It looks like they haven't been replaced in a very, very long time. I got to thinking about the white smoke, and I don't know if it was actually white smoke or if it was just so cold that morning and all the exhaust was exiting through that one side for whatever reason, or most of the exhaust. And maybe that's what I was seeing, is just an abundance of exhaust coming out that one side, and you know, being cold, it appeared to be, who knows. The new plugs I'm gonna put in are NGKs, but they're the BPR 7ES. And you need to make sure you take the tips of them here. They just unscrew, so take those off. And then I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads before I put them in. And you don't need to cake it on there. You don't need a ton. Just a dab will do ya. I'm doing one plug at a time. I mean, just as far as just bringing them over here to put them in the car. I'm not bringing everything over at the same time. I'm going slow. That's how I prefer to do it. This is a 13/16 socket. 13/16, sorry, spark plug socket. So it's got the little doodad in there that grabs a hold of the plug. And I've actually got two different ones I've been using. I found that for the bank that's closest to the firewall, this shorter one actually gets in there a whole lot easier. I do have a little bit of an extension on it, and it is a swivel socket. So if you can find one about like that, it's probably going to make your life a little bit easier, especially reaching on that back side of the motor there, or sorry, front side of the motor. It's so tight, you got to bend the wires, the top of them, to try to get the plug caps off, and then my wrist was like running along the top side of the back of the hatch here. So be careful, because if you move your hand really quick, you will probably slice the top of your wrist open. Little electrical tape around your extension to your socket on the swivel here. Keeps it from popping off. I had to dig this piece out of 2 of the cylinders in the back so far because my extension kept popping off for whatever reason. So wrap it up. Well, that's a plus. I didn't see a ton of white smoke pouring out. Maybe that was it. I mean, like I said, this motor's still gonna get rebuilt this winter, but the car definitely needed new plugs. Well, that's how you change plugs on a Ferrari 308. Something that might help you if you're gonna take on this job. Take a piece of cardboard like I did, lay it pretty much just all the way across here. You're gonna have to take this intake tube off anyway, but lay it across up to the top of the intake plenum, and then use that to lay on, especially to get to those back ones, which would be the front bank, I guess, up against the firewall. Your neck is gonna hurt. Your wrist is gonna rub up against the top of the deck lid there. That'll probably hurt a little bit, but you know, that's the worst it's gonna be. Is it a difficult job? Not really. It is a giant pain in the ass, but it's not difficult. So, you know, don't be afraid to get out there and work on your car. Figure this stuff out. It's nuts and bolts. It went together once. It comes apart, it goes back together. It's like building a giant model. I hope this helps anybody who's going to take on this project. I'll keep you posted on how the car does here after I get it, you know, warmed up to temperature, get it out on the road and put some more miles and stuff on it. It's definitely, I know for a fact that I'm gonna see a definite improvement. I mean, those other plugs were just complete junk, and I should have done that a long time ago, so that's on me. Something else to just be cautious of, and it happened to me, but I caught it. When you're in here working, just watch out for these 2 wires. I actually hit mine and unplugged it. Just happened to notice it and plug it back in, but otherwise I'd have been trying to start the car and that ain't gonna work. So just be mindful of these 2. They will pop off if you hit them or get something caught on them. Again, here's what I used, the NGKs. These are the BPR 7ES. I got them from O'Reilly's. They were the only place I could find that had them. When you put them in, do not, and I can't stress this enough, do not crank them down. Just put them in hand tight first, then put your wrench on there, and just snug is fine. That's plenty. What I like to do is, because I'm using a longer style ratchet, I use it to get it snug, and then I actually grip up here and just twist just a little bit. You can actually do yourself more harm than good by using the back of the ratchet when you're tightening, because you have so much leverage and it will over tighten. You could risk breaking the plug, but you don't need to do that. So just snug it by hand, grab up here just a little bit more, and you're good. That's it. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. It would definitely help me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Stay hungry, stay foolish.